Hey, I'm coming at you for the week starting March 25th, 2024. There's a bunch of numbers coming at you this week, and I kind of want to bring you up to date on a few because it's been a while since we've done this, and part of that's just because, well, you get a little bit burned out doing them, and, reporting week to week, there aren't any big changes. However, when you start looking over a 4 week period and then you look at the previous 4 week period, you start to see some trends, and those are the things that I want to talk about today. And the big one I'm seeing right now is that the number of new listings coming on the market is shrinking. This week it's 547, and that's off of a 4 week average of 568. Why is this significant? Well, the thing is that the number of properties that sold or closed out their contracts last week was 459, and that average is also a little bit below the 4 week average of 476, but it's significantly higher, 7% higher than last week's number of 430. And then you see the number of properties that went pending. That number last week was 638 over an average of 604. I'm going to bring the chart up here in a second. Now you can look at all of those numbers. You can kind of see them behind me and everything like that. And we'll walk through them. We'll walk through them line by line. The other things that I'm seeing is a slight shrinkage in inventory. Well, actually a little bit more inventory on the market this week. And certainly those numbers have jumped around a little bit. Some of the other things that we're seeing is that the median single family price is holding steady. And now when we look at this, we're talking about the number of all homes across the market at 475,000, and that's for single family residences. And then we're looking at median family single family homes that are on the market at about 550 or so, 549, 550. That's where they've been, and these numbers have been holding steady also for the last several months. And then again, the number on those homes that are pending right now, the current number is about 496. Those numbers are moving around a little bit. It's the people that are looking for softness in the market might be a little bit disappointed. If you're thinking that there's going to be softness because of interest rates or because of other things, and you're holding off making buying decisions, that might not be the best strategy. If you're looking at selling, I still think that right now is an excellent time to get in the market. Inventory is still very, very low relative to what I believe are the number of buyers in the marketplace. You can have the national experts out there telling you that things are softening and everything like that, but remember, when they're reporting nationally, they're reporting on places like, and in those averages, they're including places where the markets have taken significant hits, such as San Francisco or Austin or maybe Portland, and these markets have really taken a big hit. And when you start throwing that into national averages and you start mixing all of those numbers up, it becomes a little bit harder to see, see beyond the noise of things, let's just say. So let's bring those numbers up here in a minute. And I'm just going to bring the screen up, and basically that way you don't have to look at my pretty face anymore. I mean, we'll come back at the end and we will wrap it all up. So I'll go ahead and click stop on this part of things, and then we'll just bring up the numbers. All right. So again, here's the chart that I was talking about, and let's just take a look at those numbers that I was referring to. You see right here, you see this 547 in the week of starting off this week, and you see that compared to 601, and you see that 558, that 566, that 555. So this number of new homes entering the market last week is definitely down a little bit. Whether that's a need for concern or not, it's really hard to say. But again, it's an interesting number to look at. I'm going to bring up another screen now, and we'll take a look at some of it. We'll zero in on just the last 2 weeks of activity, and maybe that'll help clear things up a little bit more. Okay, so now I've highlighted those numbers, and I've highlighted them in the moving average for the last 4 weeks, and then the previous 4 week average. And you can see these numbers are dwindling, are shifting downward. And then, of course, you see the number of sold properties where you've seen a significant shift upwards. Now, is this a real trend? I don't know. We'd have to probably go back and look at a few other months to know for sure. But again, you see the number of pending properties that have jumped up significantly. Now, interestingly enough, the number of properties that are sold over the last 4 weeks, actually that number is significantly higher too. That may be something different I was looking at. Maybe I was looking at this number here, where you're seeing the number of homes on the market really hasn't changed. Oops, that's probably not what I wanted to do, but it hasn't changed significantly. You see that previous 4-week average was 2778. This one is 2779. But if you look at the number of homes that were actively on the market just at the beginning of last week at 2831, and now you see this drop, that's a 1% shift. Again, it's not so much that it's a 1% shift this week, it's that those numbers can change week over week, and that's when you start to see trends. When you look at these numbers here, they don't change a whole lot. I've got a better screen that shows these a little bit better, so we'll pick that one up next. So what I did with this screen is I just highlighted those rows just to make them stand out a little bit clearer. So you can see new listings here, and you can see the number of solds, you can see the number of pendings, the number of single-family homes that have sold over the last 30 days in each of these reported weeks, along with the averages, and then the median price on those homes that were sold over those previous 30 days. And again, I collect this data week over week so that you can see it and draw your own conclusions from it. One thing I did want to note this week that I did see, and this was from Bankrate or one of those reporting companies. I try to get some of the Florida markets here. The VA number ticked down a 1/4 point last week, so or at least starting this week. So that could be something to be thinking about, especially if that's who you are. All right, so let's click out of this. We'll pause. All right, so what does this all mean? I think what it means, and I've had this conversation over and over again, especially with sellers. Sellers seem to think that they aren't going to be able to afford a loan on the next place that they purchase once they sell their home. I find this to be a little bit confusing. I think that if I had the opportunity to look at those sellers, especially sellers that have been in their homes 5, 6, 7, 10 years, a lot of the people that I'm trying to reach with this video might be empty nesters, which means that they've got a ton of equity built up in their homes. And they're empty nesters, and while they might have a lot of material stuff, the fact of the matter is they're probably ready to do that downsizing, ready to clean out some of that stuff, and maybe find some place a little bit smaller and a little easier to maintain. And this opens up that inventory for someone else to come along and purchase. Now, when you take all of that equity out of that home, I don't care where you're going, and I mean, unless you're planning on buying a penthouse in New York or something like that. I don't know why you leave Florida to buy a penthouse in New York City, but if you were, that might be one of those places where you'd have to take out a loan. Otherwise, I've got the feeling that when you take your equity out of your home here in Florida, if you've been living in this area for any period of time whatsoever, you're going to have plenty of equity, and you may end up with no mortgage whatsoever on the other side. If you are not sure about what your equity situation looks like, reach out to me, because I'd love to sit down with you and explain how that works. I'd also like to talk with you about how to maybe leverage that equity into making investments, because that's another thing, that's another area that I specialize in and I help people with. And I have some lenders who are very, very good at helping people figure out how to leverage what's in their home in order to do other things. Because honestly, if you've just got equity sitting in your home and you're not doing anything with it, that's almost the same as having money in the bank. Inflation is just kind of eating away at it, nibbling away at the signs and stuff like that. Wouldn't you much rather put that equity to work for you, to do something with it? Maybe you become an investor. Maybe that enables you to help somebody else who can't afford to buy, and maybe they rent. I don't know. All I'm saying is right now you have a real good opportunity to do something. So whether you're thinking about downsizing and just buying a new place, whether you're thinking about putting that equity to work, if you're in the market to buy, let's take a look at these numbers. Let's see what we can do to get you qualified. I would not wait if you are in the market to buy, and here's why. Because we're seeing these interest rates, and I know the Fed last week, they said they're not cutting interest rates, and now people are predicting it's going to be June. That's great. If you're not prepared now, I'm afraid that if you aren't preparing right now to get qualified to purchase that home, you're going to end up finding yourself in a situation where home prices are going to rise, because again, you see how low this inventory is. Home prices are going to rise, and they're likely to rise very quickly. So that's going to wrap it for this week. I know I kind of talked a lot. I know I probably said things more than once. And you know what? I don't have a script here. I have some screenshots that I took. I've got a few things that I wanted to say and put out there. I'm not going to do these every week, but I'll do them about once a month or so. I want to keep you informed about what's going on in the market. If you have specific concerns about your neighborhood and wherever that neighborhood is, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to talk real estate with you. I love talking real estate. Have a great day. Have a great week. And once again, as I like to say, be kind to each other out there. Have a good one. Take care.